In an interview, Gooseworks said that her inspiration for creating the amazing digital circus was the Raggedy Ann and Andy movie, which, according to everyone who's told me about this, is, I think the correct term is, really freaking weird. So I'm going to watch the Nostalgia Critic review of it because, one, it's the excuse to watch the Nostalgia Critic, and I haven't seen this yet, either the movie or his review of it, so I'm going to do both at the same time. You guys know the deal. There's a link below to the original video. Hit it up and let's get started. It's been a while since I've seen anything from Channel Awesome. I don't want to stop.
Behold the outcast, the creepy and depraved.
What the hell?
Creations not meant for the normal wild. Embrace the
Okay, I recognize the animation style in that last one. It's either Basky or... yeah, the guy who did Cool World. I'm not sure if I say his name right.
A freak show cinema.
Oh no.
Yeah, I wanted to try
This was a
something
holiday
a little
thing, huh?
different.
Halloween?
As I get older and a lot of
Mulan?
media gets safer, with
That-
some exceptions, I wanted to look over some of the
Okay, I have no idea what's going on here. And okay.
freakier movies of cinema. Some are well known, others not as much, but they all went for broke in giving us the
9?
most
I
strange,
think it's 9.
abnormal, yet creative handful of madness
I don't
their
even recognize some of
imaginations
these.
can muster. And I wanted to praise their
that one?
otherworldliness because if you can't imagine something different, you'll be stuck with the same all your life. With that said,
Everything
what
about that
pops in
image.
your mind when you hear the name Raggedy Ann? A cute little dolly, an occasional special you saw here or there, a cursed gateway to evil preserved in glass inspiring several demonic film adaptations. My
Wait, those were based on Raggedy Ann? Okay, my wife can never see this movie. She's going to go down a rabbit hole if she does. I am talking right now and she's in the other room. It's too late. I might as well already just bite the bullet and check it out anyways.
guess is the director of this thought the latter. Raggedy
That's
Ann and
creepy.
Andy, a musical adventure, was released in 1977 and was
Oh.
directed by the late great animator Richard Williams, the director
wow.
of animation for Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Though it did get
Oh, shit. This is the guy who did Rod... Okay, I am contractually obligated to say in advance this is an amazing movie and everything this guy ever did is amazing. My wife is a massive Who Framed Roger Rabbit fan. There are lines I cannot cross. Murder, jaywalking, and not liking Who Framed Roger Rabbit. There are certain ones I cannot do. Out of all of those, take a guess which one I am not going to take a guess at. I don't know yet. One of those will piss her off, and I'm pretty sure it's this one.
both a theatrical and VHS release, there's not many high-end copies of it. And it's a shame because this movie is a witch's brew of bizarro.
There's not like
The
some
story
original
sounds very
version
simple.
of it?
A girl's room of toys, led by Raggedy Ann, welcome a French doll named Babette to her new home.
Oh, wow.
But a snow globe pirate falls for her, and rises and falls and rises and falls. Oh God! And kidnaps her, forcing
I just got
Ann
what that
and her
is.
brother Andy to save her while coming across all sorts of strange characters.
And they're all toys.
Sounds
so,
pretty
yeah.
ordinary, but upon further viewing, you'll find it's anything but. No matter what version of Raggedy Ann you've seen in the past, I assure you there is
What the
nothing
heck?
freakier than this one. I mean, look at this. Is this the imagery you would associate with such a simple children's doll?
I'm going to be completely honest. If I just started the video here, instead of knowing what this is in advance, I would think I'm watching an adaptation of Cool World.
I don't feel so well.
That was a hell of a thing.
Well, to figure out what exactly we're
That was
looking
the
at, it
thing.
makes sense to figure why we're looking at it. 20th Century Fox assigned Abe Levitow, a Warner Brothers animator who directed Gay Paris,
What? I've never even heard that one.
its own batch of what, to helm the project with Richard Williams being the animation supervisor. Just to make things complicated though, he died before they started.
Oh,
Seeing this as a means to give funding for his passion project, The Thief and the Cobbler, Williams took over
Wait, this was funding Thief and the Cobbler? Sorry, this is actually hitting a lot closer than I thought because my wife might absolutely love Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but she talks nonstop about The Thief and the Cobbler. It kind of makes sense because they're probably all in the same sphere of animators at the time, but I wasn't expecting to have this many name drops.
directing.
Didn't realize they were
There was
connected
just
either.
one problem. He hated the script.
Oh.
He said it was unfocused, didn't make a ton of sense, and there were too many songs. When the studio apparently said film what's written, critics slammed the movie for, you guessed it, being unfocused, not making a ton of sense, and having too many songs. But Williams in no way half-assed it. He put as much effort as he could into, at the very least, giving some damn good animation. One of the few elements critics praised the film for. As such, the film is a marvel to look at. The credits alone are ridiculously detailed. But okay, the vibe you would get from this script is that it's Toy Story before Toy Story was even a thing. And for the first half hour, it is.
Wait, only the
opening
first?
half hour is just the toys in the nursery, singing songs and not really saying any amazing dialogue, but for a little kid's film, it's passable. When they go looking for the captain and Babette, the first character they come across is a camel with wrinkled knees. He's been alone for so long, he hallucinates his family calling to him and constantly chases after them.
Okay, that is disturbing. And apparently this is the normal section of the movie?
I don't see anything, Andy. Do you?
This is really weird.
Odd, but you can just interpret him as a lost toy. It's nothing that out of the ordinary.
So far.
And then this.
What's that?
This is the movie you're in now.
Okay, I see this is definitely what inspired the Fudge in Amazing Digital Circus. It's actually almost one-to-one. It looks like it's made of candy. It's eating candy. It has candy corn teeth, the same as the Fudge. I can see where the inspiration comes from. And, of course, Ragatha and Raggedy Ann.
What's that?
This is the
Oh, it's
movie you're in
eating
now.
itself as it goes.
This is the Greedy, a giant monster who stuffs his face and wants to cut out Raggedy Ann's heart because it's made of candy.
It's her heart now, but soon it will be mine.
What the hell?
After they come across a loony knight named Loony Knight,
Why are you doing all this to us?
It's easy.
he takes them to the court of King Cuckoo, which goes something like this. Last time I saw them in something, they were giving a pumpkin to a kid. How do we make the leap to this?
I'm sorry, they did... What?
Last time I saw them...
I almost want to see someone redub this where they just insert a couple random words in there to make it sound like they're being bleeped, because this is exactly where I'm going with on this thing. Really creative. They went into a silent movie format. That's why they only have sound effects with the strings in the background being strummed. Okay, that does it.
Last time I saw them in something, they were giving a pumpkin to a kid. How do we make the leap to this? And none of these are like the toy seeing everyday things from a different point of view. No, all these freaky ass shits just exist.
Your Highness.
You mean lowness. Yeah, lowness. That's what it is.
King Cuckoo is very short, but he grows whenever he laughs. Laughro. They escape, but find Babette has somehow taken over the ship.
I'm sorry, what?
Laughro.
Oh! Yes, when a guy's happy, he gets bigger. I, for YouTube reasons, have no idea what that means.
They escape, but find Babette has somehow taken over the ship, put the captain in chains.
I am the captain now.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure.
I am the captain
Oh
now.
god, it's
And
the
even
same
trussed up our
line.
heroes, ending with the king tickling everyone, causing him to grow bigger, eventually exploding. And then they're just back home. Yeah, the girl finds him and just brings him in. The end.
It doesn't... Am I the weird one here who sees this as such a massive in-your-face throbbing innuendo? Because I can't be the only one. Like, listen to this description and tell me this doesn't sound like something that they were trying to get through a movie that was definitely not for kids. And the censors just said, you know what, fuck it, we don't care, just do it.
Ending with the king tickling everyone, causing him to grow bigger, eventually exploding. And then they're just back home.
Yeah, you run in, you have a tickle fight, you go pop, and then you go home. For YouTube reasons, I have no idea what this means.
Yeah, the girl finds him and just brings him in.
But if
The
he's
end.
already reviewed the entire
I
movie,
don't
what
know
are
what
we
script
missing?
problems they're talking about. I followed all this fine once I did bath salts. Even before
Yeah,
coming across
it does
the
seem
first
like that kind of movie.
supernatural element, though, the film
This was in the 70s. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. It was definitely meant for kids and their parents who were partaking of the hippie movement, dude. So, probably my family, now I think about it. I'm not going to think about it.
The film has all sorts of hilariously uncomfortable moments.
Oh,
The way you go
jeez.
banging around with Marcella.
Whoa, what?
Part of Richard Williams' brilliance is his attention to
Marcella?
detail, so all the characters move with the proper weight they would possess. So Raggedy Ann, being a floppy ragdoll, moves maybe a little too much like a floppy ragdoll.
It's true, I do get bounced around a bit.
Come on, give those dead eyes a little bit of life. Ah! Go back to Wilkins' puppet!
How shocking.
Over the years, it's gone
What the
back
fuck
and
was that?
forth whether or not Raggedy Ann and Andy were sweethearts or brother and sister. This film clarifies several times that they're siblings.
You lay off my sister, Sir Leonard.
But
I mean, for all we know, it could be Alabama. Also, that was my attempt at a southern accent. As you can see, I can't do accents.
that doesn't stop some awkward gestures and stares every once in a while.
I love you so.
You're my present this year.
Just don't question it, question it a lot.
Oh, I just remember that ad where it's like, they're super flirty. It turns out the ad's like, yeah, brother and sister. And then just sitting there going, I don't even remember the company, but they were advertising incest. Why? Who thought that was a good idea? This is the 70s where drugs were an actual reason to excuse a lot of, well, not even excuse, justify a lot of reasons. That ad wasn't. This one, I recognize this. It was like something super generic. Folgers or something. I don't,
And then, of course, there's these damn things.
Where'd you go? Where'd you go?
I must not fear. Fear is the night killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration.
Yeah, Dune would be coming out right after this, so he probably was aware of that.
I have no idea what these things are supposed to be. Dolls,
Mannequins?
I guess, but what little girl wants to see these naked chipmunk-voiced demons under her Christmas tree? Everything they say
Is that
is
most
sung,
dolls?
danced in unison, and ends with their eyes pouring acid on your crumb of nightmare-fueled innocence. They are terrifying!
What's in the box? What's in the box? What did you do and why? How you gonna get in that thing? Really scary.
Do they just sing in tandem the entire time? Probably, actually, yeah. Oh god, the eyes!
Need a break? I gotcha.
Thanks, I actually did.
Better?
Oh god, it's still there.
Be better. Liam's obsession with making the film look good resulted in going over budget, over schedule, and sadly a common occurrence for him, being fired from the project.
Oh!
Because of this,
Wait. The Cobbler and the Thief, and he was fired from this as well? It really does just look like Disney's Aladdin before Disney's Aladdin.
Because of this, parts from the movie seem straight up unfinished. Like I mentioned before, the ending is incredibly abrupt and doesn't make a lick of sense. And on top of that,
Because they
song numbers that were
live
most
actions,
likely
they
going to
weren't
be
animated.
shot and more detailed were suddenly filmed from a great distance. Most of the sequence Candy Hearts and Paper Flowers is shot so that you can't see them lip sync the song. In fact, one shot holds for almost an entire minute. This isn't exactly the most beautiful visual to hold on, guys. Though I guess it is less ugly than... This resulted in the film
eyes.
bombing pretty hard at the box office, getting less than glowing praise from critics, and confusing tons of horrified kids as these...
What the fuck? Is that supposed to be a Jack in the Box? Yeah, it's supposed to be a Jack in the Box. Of course, because it's a Raggedy Ann doll, Jack in the Box is probably from the same era, so it makes a lot of sense. This is like super detailed until it's not super detailed. I'm assuming this just became a cult classic that people either didn't love at all because it bombed, like he said, or in Gooseworks' case, redefined their life. How did she find this? And what specifically about? It's probably to create, considering they're an animator, it was probably the art, which is literally the best thing in here. Because say what you want, this still looks good. I mean, it looks like something that should be celebrating 420, dude. But we all know that that's definitely completely unrelated due to YouTube reasons. But joking aside, we all exactly know what I mean.
As these clearly not paid children will tell you.
The plot was really, really good.
It was very exciting, a lot of action. The music got to me in a very certain way.
As As such, it was
What?
quickly forgotten about, making occasional appearances on kids' TV like Nickelodeon and the Disney Channel.
They put that on
And
Nickelodeon?
yes, it is very easy to see why the majority of people wouldn't get into this, but I still stand by there's a lot to appreciate. Aside from the most obvious being the animation, which is breathtaking
Dude.
when it's literally not trying to take away your breath,
The
there
eyes,
is an
man.
innocent, albeit awkward charm to the film. It's clearly written for little children, but
The guy had a sharp idea, I get it, yeah.
the actors all give a dedicated kind of energy to their roles. Didi Khan as Anne, who you may remember as Frenchie from Grease,
Oh.
adds a very delicate and gentle spirit to her delivery.
Was not expecting that.
Lots of different things. Some are real for sure strange.
Mark Baker adds a tough but kind balance to Andy.
Are you scared? Well, you shouldn't be. I'm not.
And others like George S. Irving as the captain, Alan Suze as the knight, and Marty Brill as the king are so wonderfully over the top, it's hard not to laugh at the absurdity of their voices.
Oh, do some more to this one here. I mean, he makes me expand real good.
I know. I heard it too.
Even the director's daughter
Okay, so it wasn't just me, it was the intentional point of the character. Good to know!
daughter as the kid who owns the
Oh, that's the actual
toys
director's
adds a
daughter?
strange kind of realism to a film with very little realism in it.
Which I'm assuming is probably what they edited in at the end, but it kind of looks good.
Every scene has a ton of atmosphere and a very distinct mood. True, they don't all go together, but individually, they do strike a very unique kind of ambiance. One of the major criticisms of the film is that it has too many songs, and at a whopping 16 for an hour and a half flick.
Is this a movie or a freaking music video? Or like an entire music video album?
That's the same number as Sound of Music, a 3-hour flick. It's a legit criticism.
That was 3 hours?
But here's the thing, the songs are actually really good.
But
They were written by
uncategorized?
Joe Raposo, the guy who did It's Not Easy Being Green, the
Seriously?
Great Muppet Caper songs, and a ton of work for Sesame Street.
You know, that kind of makes sense considering this is, despite the visuals being very... Let's go with green. It's very much in line with puppets, toys, and just the general zaniness of the Muppets. So Sesame Street, now I think about it. Kind of makes sense this would be like a side project they could do that would make sense. It's even in their wheelhouse already.
What's so interesting is
expecting it, though.
because of his background in children's entertainment, the songs needed to not only be catchy, but also short for their limited attention spans. Because of this, even though there are way too many of them and they
They're
rarely
short
further
songs.
the plot, I can play just a snippet of them and chances are you'll remember how they go.
How can you be happy?
The reason that is cause I love you.
Okay, in hindsight, maybe a bunch of towering Ks is probably not the best choice. But I don't think they were thinking that because, you know, there's no other imagery to match along with it. It's probably just a very unfortunate act. Oh, yes, the blood rushing right to his head. Because he's attracted to a French doll. I'd say it's on the nose, but at this point, that's in itself just too blatant.
Push me, shove me, turn me around, but I'm no girl's toy.
For decades, unless
Dude.
you were Disney, a lot of songs in kids' films were pretty forgettable. Which is why it's crazy that for a
The Swan Princess had songs? I'll be honest, I completely forgot almost all of that movie. If you told me it was a complete musical or wasn't, I'd believe you either way at this point.
kids film with 16 songs in them, I remember how almost every single one of them goes. Yes, they do halt what little story there is from moving forward, but they're catchy,
Random chorus
clever, and extremely hummable. I know it's not like the guy doesn't have enough popular works to his name, but it is a shame a musical with so many good songs is not only forgotten about, but also dismissed because there's simply too many of them. Too much of a good thing, I guess, but it is still a good thing.
Maybe if they just...
Because of those
had a better
reasons, I
plot line
can't
tying
like this
together.
as a great film or even a finished film, but it's so lavishly odd, it can never be forgotten. I love how insane it is. I love how it goes from one random thing to another because you have no idea what to expect, except that it'll be something well animated, creative, and have you humming afterwards. When it's good on a technical and sometimes whimsical level. When it's bad, it's the most fascinating kind of bad. Despite all its production problems, it went all out, and it clearly shows in the end product. Even if
all I'm thinking right now is, considering I'm watching this in response to learning this is one of the inspirations for Digital Circus, and we've seen how they are going very heavy on bringing up certain aspects, I'm wondering when the Looney Knight might come into it, because that seems like such an insane character that would actually fit really well now that I think about it.
if the end product is a mess. I hope more people check it out for all the hard work that went into it, and whether it's a pro or a con, for its unforgettable night terrors it sure do
hope those are not in
induce.
there.
Maybe if it gets talked about and shared around enough, a proper DVD or even Blu-ray release could be in the future. But with it only existing on pan and scan VHS and rare widescreen versions online, it sadly doesn't look likely. Rumor has it there's not even an original negative left to transfer from.
Oh.
But who knows, maybe over time more of it will show up somewhere. If you can find a version of it though, check it out and spread the word. If for any other reason, to spread the madness everyone deserves to ponder and question.
Yeah.
I have a few of these planned, but if there's any freaky ass movies you want to see represented more, leave them in the comments below.
I wonder if he has
I'm
to
a
do Digital
nostalgia
Circus
guy,
himself.
remember? So you don't have to.
Okay, yeah, I completely see the inspiration here. It's very blatant now that I've seen some of the initial source. It's a good thing I watched through his channel, because he can actually find somewhat decent clips to pull from the movie, where apparently that's hard to do, because if you don't even have the negatives, you don't have the originals, then you don't have it anymore. So I guess because it flopped, they figured no one wants this, they threw it out. Considering I'm watching this to learn about the movie, I'm wondering now if someone else would happen to recommend a channel where they would go into the history of the film itself to see what happened in the production with the various crew, because there was drama here. People dying in production, being fired, moving on, and going over budget, probably ending it early and seeing what was cut in, what was left in there. Are there any stills that they maybe drew out but never actually animated? I'm kind of fascinated by this right now, because it's so incredibly weird, but so incredibly inspiring, apparently. Am I doing this explicitly because I'm jonesing for more amazing Digital Circus and there's no more coming anytime soon? There's probably this year. Hopefully not, because I'm hoping it comes sometime this year. But if not, I don't care, because this is actually kind of fascinating in its own right. And I can definitely see how someone seeing this early on would be very inspired by specifically the animation. It's insane. The music is interesting. It was cool. I'm not really much into musicals, but it wasn't bad. And I kind of think I would like the more of, but less total length. So it never overstays its welcome. Ooh, hit my mic. Oops. Basically what I'm saying is, it's interesting. I want to know more about the process to create something this weird. And I want to see just how many other ideas from this, the sound effect black and white land, are we going to get more aspects like that brought into Digital Circus to see what's going on? Is the inspiration going to become more of a retelling of that? Or are we just seeing something altogether weird? Because there's probably other inspirations as well. And I would love to see how the various mediums were transferred from, here's what I was inspired by, here's what I turned it into. This is just something I love doing. Specifically when I watch a lot of Red's video about mythology and how it goes, here's how it started here, here's how it looked when it made it to this continent, and here's the changes where it spread further. This is something I really love, because it's just showing how a story is interpolated, and it's fascinating to me. So yeah, I am really glad we did this. I'm glad I found out. If anyone knows anything else that might have inspired Digital Circus, or if maybe Nostalgia Critic came back and did another dive on something about this surrounding it, or the works around it, let me know, because I kind of want to know more just how this was an inspiration and what it led to. Because even if it sounds like this movie flopped, it definitely had a lot of fans who were admittedly probably way too dedicated to it, but who made really cool things based on it. And I just like that. It's fun. You guys know the deal though. There's a link below to the original video. Hit it up. I'll see you in the next one. Adios.